Jennifer, Jalen, Cecilia, the best babysitter for Rilo. Anyway, the local islanders. For example, Rebecca, she drove 2.5 miles to get here. The cases, I think they drove like 28 miles or something. Lindsay could have had a wedding in California, but that would have been too ordinary. So, as a father of the bride, I can say that Lindsay isn't ordinary. I think Todd would probably agree to that. Now, I was thinking like maybe the next 5 years we could do Mexico, the French Riviera, the next five. Forget Monte Carlo, it's too expensive, and Portofino, it's too crowded. Okay? So we'll just keep it simple. Lindsay, I called her Lindsay Caters, and then like if I'm texting her, it'd just be LK, kind of short and everything. But Lindsay Caters, when she was born as a little baby, I held her, and there's a trick. And you hold the baby like this, and you put your finger underneath her head. And then you say, "You like your father the best, is that right?" And then the head goes, "Yeah, you do, right?" And it goes like that. And I think she's always liked me the best, maybe. When she was little, I used to look at her. She wouldn't listen to me, but I would look at her and say, "Lindsay, stop growing up. Stop it. You're doing it right now. Stop growing up." She never did listen to me. She's grown up, and I'm very proud of her. Lindsay was never the shy one, as you know. And one time we were at Waterworks Park. I don't know if you remember this. And there was this, you do? Oh my God. And there's this guy. Now don't be offended or anything. This guy, he didn't have any legs and he was in a wheelchair. And I was kind of looking around and I hear Lindsay's like 6 or something. I look over. She's got her hand and his leg on the stump up the pants going, "Well, where's your legs?" And the guy was really nice. I told him, "I'm so sorry." He thought it was hilarious. He goes, "Oh, she's just a curious little girl." But Lindsay is not shy. We've been to Buckingham Palace and when they have the guards, and the guards stand at attention like I'm sure Todd does. Only these guards can stand at attention and they can't blink and they can never crack a smile. But Lindsay would come up and stare him down and keep staring, and then she'd bark at him. And the guy cracked, and he could have got fired for that, Lindsay, because they say, she's able to crack them. When Lindsay was about 12 or 14, you can correct me on that, we went on a father-daughter trip to Europe. How old were you? 14, okay. And I had to be, as any father and daughter, I had to be really careful. Well, you just would be careful. But like when you'd be on the train, you'd stop and the crowd would rush in and the crowd would rush out. Man, I'd just hang on to her as tight as I could because, she could just be gone with the crowd. Well, we proceeded to the Eiffel Tower and I proceeded to lose her for, I'm saying 2 hours, it probably wasn't, but 2 panic-stricken hours because I went down one leg and she went down the other leg. And then I went back up looking for her. And that was pretty scary. And when I finally found her sitting on the steps crying, that was the second happiest time in my life. And this is the third. First time when you're born. Well, we took the train from France to Switzerland. And some of these Swiss people, they speak German. And we're on the train, and Lindsay, being the histrionic person that she is, there's this conductor inspector guy. I don't know what he was, but he's dressed in a blue suit and a hat. and he was very stoic, and he would stare straight ahead with a don't care attitude as he walked down the aisle. And as he did, Lindsay's sitting in a chair over there, and the guy's walking along, and she'd go, "Hi," and the guy would just walk straight ahead. Then he'd walk down, and he's checking somebody's ticket, and he's punching something else, and he'd walk by again. She'd go, "Hi." And so then the guy goes to the people behind us, and there's 2 or 3 people behind us, and they're in trouble for something. There's some paperwork or something wasn't punched, and they were in big trouble, and he was yelling at him in German, and we had the same problem, and we're next. And here he comes. He comes to our thing. Lindsay goes, "Hi." And he cracked a smile and walked off. It was a beautiful moment, and we got out of trouble. Good job, Lindsay. Then we proceeded on to, well, we were in Switzerland. We got off the train, and I didn't want to take a chance looking around town for a hotel. So there was this one right there. It was a real fancy one. And so we go there, and the bellboy takes our stuff up, and they said, we shouldn't even have been there. It's a big fancy room. They, what the heck. And as we came into Switzerland, I told Lindsay about, okay, there's the currency change and how you translate it, convert it, and everything. So then I give the bellman this great big coin. I mean, it looked to me like it was a big deal. I gave him the tip, and the guy left the room, and I looked around, and Lindsay is rolling on the bed, laughing her brains out. I go, "What's wrong?" She goes, "You just gave him 25 cents. So then after that, she goes with this little wise ass song, "I'm smarter than my dad." And so and of course she'd repeat that about everywhere we'd go. Then when we would get off the train or off the subway, or you'd get off the subway and you go down underneath, and you'd come out, and I'd say, "Well, I think it's to the right here, and then over here." It's because left, we'd get in a big argument, and then we'd come up, and dang it, she'd be right, and then she'd say, "I'm smarter than my dad." So yeah, that's been a habit. When Lindsay got older and she got a car, we had issues, and one of the requirements was that if she was late on her curfew, 1 minute equals 1 day. 5 minutes equals 5 days. Her car goes in jail. So Lindsay would show up at a 9:59, go, "God, good job." And then down the hall, out the window, off to a party or whatever, until I never even figured it out. Till one day I went in there about 2 in the morning, nobody was home in the bed, so I decided I'd just go in there and go to sleep. So then there was a surprise when she came home. So she got her car put in jail, and it's this thing, we closed the gates, and boy, she was in big trouble. Then I came home, and I forget how many days the punishment was, and I come back. Now, I pulled a trick on her. I took the distributor wire and I pulled it out ever so slightly so the car wouldn't start. And I'll be darned, there must have been something going on with Kristen, and Danielle, and Pam, because she was able to get that car started and get it out of jail. And I should have been mad, but I was impressed. Now, take this smart, dramatic, make anyone smile, break a silence, kind, high energy person, and mix her with Todd. Todd, you're up. You're next. Now, when I first met Todd, he was, maybe he still is, quiet and calm, grounded. Lindsay said when we first met that he was scared of me. I go, "Really?" I liked it. I wanted to keep it that way. I thought it could be a good thing, and maybe I could take advantage of it. So we're at Mike's wedding in Trinidad, and we just finished the reception, and we're walking out of the hotel, and Todd comes up to me and says quietly, Mr. Morgan, I thought he's going to ask me for money or something. You know, he's kind of working his way into it, you know. And, well, and about that time, Debbie and I go, well, we're just kind of joking. You know? Well, I sure hope you're not going to ask me to give Lindsay's hand in marriage. And he goes, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I was. And so I go, really? We haven't known her that long. And not only that, I mean, do you know Lindsay? I mean, she's pretty wild. I was kind of thinking, feeling sorry for Todd. So the answer was no. Isn't that right? I told you no. Because you hadn't known her long enough. And oh, well, I said no later without you present. So I'm wondering, you know, Todd, boy, has he made the right decision? So then we go and you know how they have the dance and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's Todd standing on the sidelines there and we're talking, right, Lux? We were just talking. And all of a sudden, here's Lindsay out there and she's doing this robotic dance thing. And with another guy, and Debbie and I turned to Todd and go, see what we mean? This is a wild one. Are you sure you want to get tied up with that? You know, when you, many times you've said deep down in your heart when you go to a wedding, somebody else's wedding, you kind of wonder, you say, I wonder if this is going to last. Well, as Lindsay's great aunt has said, we've already established that. They made it 5 years. They've had 2 wonderful children. And I think they make a great, great couple. I think Todd's mixture with Lindsay, and I have to feel sorry for Todd at times. He's got to handle you, boy. That must be tough. But I think you're a great mother, and I'm sure a great wife. If someone were to say, I'm going to line up on the beach here, all the way down the beach, a whole bunch of son-in-laws, and one of them you have to pick, I would pick Todd. So I would give you guys some words of wisdom, but I think you've kind of learned on your own. So all I can say is keep doing what you've been doing. Remember patience and compromise. You already have love. And Lindsay, I know you're smarter than your dad. I'm just proud to be your dad. So with that, I'd like everyone to raise their glass for a toast for Lindsay and Todd. May God bless you all and your family. Arigato.